Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome once again to the United Regional Chamber's weekly update. We try to bring you on some interesting guests and different subjects from around the area. And today, my guest is Phil Muscatello. He represents Schooley Mitchell, and we're going to talk about how he can help you save money in your business and find some cost savings in some of the vendors that you deal with. So, Phil, welcome.
Hey, Jack. Great to be here. Thanks.
First off, tell us a little about Phil.
Sure. I'd love to. So you mentioned that I'm at Schooley Mitchell, which is a franchise. I bought it about a year ago. I like to think that this is sort of Phil 3.0. I started my career in business as an investment analyst and a portfolio manager. I was essentially a stock analyst for 20 plus years. Then in 2013, I left that role. I was tired of spending many hours looking at red and green blips on screens, and a partner and I went out and we bought a company. We bought a company in 2015. It was in the AV industry. We built conference room, huddle rooms, put up digital signage, created collaboration environments. And then in 2022, I sold it to a company called AVISPL, which is the industry giant. For perspective, AVISPL is a $1 billion company, and we were a $50 million company.
So you did well with the sale then.
Yeah, well, you know, I think we did good. I think we did okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So tell us a little bit about Schooley Mitchell, and how does that work? How does it make an impact on your
sure.
business?
Great. Good question. So, at the heart of what we do is this belief that most companies pay their vendors more than they should. And our mission is to fix this and help our customers keep more of the profit, simply. So, how we operate is we find areas where our businesses are overspending and then work with them and their vendors to secure better deals for them. We have an approach, it's pretty simple. We'll analyze expenses and uncover savings opportunities. Um, our model, I think, is unique, and it's what attracted me to becoming involved. Is we work on a contingency basis. So what that means is we don't get paid for trying; we get paid for doing. If we're able to find savings and then implement a strategy that works for your company, then we split the savings 50-50 for 3 years. If we can't find an opportunity for savings, then our customers don't have to pay us a fee.
And how? Tell us how do you find savings for customers, and what are the differentiators? I think that's the
Sure.
word.
Sure. Yeah, great word. So I'll give you, sort of the 30,000 foot on how it works and what allows our organization to get really great outcomes for our customers. Um, we I'll start with the information that we get from our customer and what we do with it. So the information that we need from our customer simply is just 3 or 4 months worth of invoices from the vendor. And then we supplement that with what's likely a 25-minute call with the customer. So on the front end, the customer resourcing is very light, less than an hour per category that we work in. What we do with that information is we'll audit it and we'll benchmark it. And this is where I think we have a strong advantage to not only other companies that look to optimize expenses for their customers, but also for the teams at the customer that are often tasked with this work. By benchmarking, I mean we're able to take the data we get from our customer and compare it to what other businesses are paying. We're able to do that because we have information from our 30,000 plus customers. So, as an example, Jack, if you had given me your phone bill, I would be able to look at that phone bill and benchmark it to the rates that we were able to secure across the country for all of our customers. Essentially, what that does is it tells us where the finish line is. So that's our number one. That's one of our big advantages. The other big advantage we have is we have dedicated teams per each of our categories that live, breathe, and sleep these categories. So if I stick with phones as an example, and once we understand the benchmarking, well, we have a team that's dedicated specifically to understanding what are all the levers you can pull, what are all the fees that you can reduce, and what are all the ways that you can um, negotiate better pricing for that service, which is really powerful because doing the work takes time and effort. And to get the best prices, you have to have some level of expertise in it. And if you look at, if I look at my customers, they're generally experts in the services or the products that they sell. They're not necessarily experts in how to negotiate the best possible, or the best possible merchant services.
So, I do follow you on LinkedIn as well, and you've put up a couple of examples. Give
Sure.
us a quick example of something that you posted just recently of the savings
Sure.
that you did with a client.
Yep. I'll speak to one that I, I I had today. So I was I have this wonderful client in the South Shore, and they are a bookstore, and they sell books and toys, and it's a great community place. And we were able to look at their merchant services, i.e., what they're paying to process credit card transactions, and work directly with their credit card vendor to lower their rates with no changes required. So, what that means is our team, understanding how to negotiate all the finer points and underlying points of a credit card transaction, spent some time. It didn't happen overnight, took about 6 or 7 weeks to communicate and negotiate with the vendor. And we got to much lower agreed upon rates. And then those rates were just implemented. What that means from the customer perspective, they didn't have to change their vendor at all. So they stuck with the same credit card processor. They didn't have to do anything other than now they're paying 35% less for their processing. And that's a really great outcome because there is zero disruption to their business. That's on the smaller side. On the bigger side, I'll point to a local general contractor that has pretty big revenues. I mean, close to $100 million ish in terms of revenue, and they have, um, you know, lots of employees, and they give all their employees mobile phones. And managing all these mobile phone plans is difficult and cumbersome. And in this company, they're expert in building things. They're not expert at how do you manage the mobile phones that you give to your team. And so what we did was we looked at all of their mobile phones that they've given to all their employees, went through each invoice line by line to really understand what is the optimum plan that we could put per phone for this company. And then once we identified the optimal plans, then we went a step further and negotiated better rates than were advertised for those plans. So they really got savings from two ways: one, being in a better plan that better suits them, and two, the lower rates. What's really interesting is these telecom companies have maybe not hundreds of plans, but they have an awful lot of plans to choose from. And how do you find the time to become an expert in those plans? Well, with us, you don't have to because we're expert in all the plans. We've built relationships with the people at those organizations that can say yes to our negotiation, so we're able to get the lower rates as well. The work we do doesn't stop, though, once we get new rates in place or a new plan in place. For now, for the term of our agreement, each month, our team is going to look at each and every line and on each and every bill they get for the next 3 years to make sure that the pricing we put in place stays in place, and to see if there's changes in the way their team is using the phone, that we can then have that information to find a more optimal plan. So we're incented to, and we never stop trying to find the optimal plan for the services that we provide.
All right. Well, you've mentioned a couple of different companies. Is
Sure.
there any specific companies you work with, or can you work with any company?
Yeah, great question. The way that I think about it is we can work with any company. Where how I try to think about where can I add the most value, and that really resides in the categories. So instead of thinking about like, oh, this is a manufacturing company, I only work with manufacturing companies. I work with companies that have spend in the categories that we work on. So, and I won't go through the whole list of categories, but I'll just give you an idea of what they are. So, telecom, that's where our company got its start. That's wireless, wireline, internet. Waste is one of my favorites because the contracts are always, pardon the pun, very messy, oftentimes overpriced, and there's always a lot of room to negotiate. Merchant services, credit card processing. Um, I like that one as well. I never lead with that one because people will think, oh, we sell credit card processing. But I want to kind of circle back to the example that I used in the beginning of this interview. We don't we don't sell any particular credit card processor. What we do is we negotiate better prices for our customers with their current vendor. At the same time of doing that, we also find alternative vendors as well. So part of our deliverable to a customer using credit cards is, option A, here's what we were able to negotiate with your current vendor. This is the level of savings. Option B and C, we've also talked to two other vendors at the same service level, and this is the pricing that they're offering that we were able to negotiate. We do that to give our customer choices, but also as part of our process to get the best pricing for our customers with the current vendor, we have to go and find alternative pricing that we can bring back and leverage.
Okay. So, if a company or a viewer is interested and they'd like to get started, how do they prepare? Do they make a phone call? Do they come meet you? Tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about that.
sure. Well, one starts with, call me or send me an email. And we can begin the discussion. The way to really get started down this road is it's pretty easy. Often customers will either send me examples of some of the bills from their vendors, and I'll be able to look at it and determine whether this is an area where I can add value or not. Other times, potential customers, just download a list of their trailing 12 months vendor payments and send me that. And I'm able to look at it and I'm able to circle, oh, here's waste, here's telecom, here's merchant services. Hey, these are ideas. These are areas that are worth having a conversation about where I think I can help. Once we have that, and once we understand, there is a place for me to help, then we'll have a deeper discussion about, our process, our business terms, and we'll move to signing a service agreement to kick the process off.
Well, one of the things I've heard, about you, I've not used you personally through the chamber. We're not, that. But if you can't help somebody, you tell them that right up front. Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't waste their time.
No.
And it certainly doesn't waste your time either.
No, that's absolutely right. It doesn't make sense to spend time if we don't think we can be helpful. Part of our philosophy is we just don't want to be disruptive to customers, either in changing out vendors if we don't need to, or having them spin their wheels doing the work that we do. And also we're incented, right? Our model is, we don't get paid unless we find savings. And so we're good at, taking a quick look and seeing and being honest if there's an area that we can help. I think about it as what I do, less of selling and more of sorting. when I have a conversation with a person, I want to sort them into, one, can I be helpful to them? And can I be helpful to them in this very specific way of negotiating better prices for them with their vendors for these categories? And then if that's a yes, then the question is, are they open to me helping them? Are they willing to engage us to help them do the work? And if the answer is yes and yes, then I think we can have a productive conversation going forward. If the answer is, if one of those answers is a no, then glad to meet someone new, but we're not interested in wasting anybody's time.
Well, awesome. I know, Phil, you do a tremendous job for some of our people, and I truly appreciate you taking the time to come on the show today. Any final thoughts before we go?
Well, I'll just end with a few stats. In general, we save our customers about 28% across all categories across time. So we've demonstrated success. I've talked a little bit about negotiating with vendors and sticking with your current vendor. 80% of the time, when we're successful with a customer, we're sticking with better pricing with the current vendor. 20% of the time, we are finding a new vendor. And similarly, 80% of the time where we dig in to do work, we find savings. 20% of the time, we don't. And that happens. But again, the risk, and this is important, the risk is on our end. The customer resourcing is just less than an hour per category. And so, I think it's a pretty good risk reward for potential customers.
Absolutely. Well, Phil Muscatello from Schooley Mitchell, thanks for taking the time to come on the show today. Big shout out to Jim Jones and the team over there at AACS who put up with me every week. We truly appreciate everything that you do for the community. Folks, we shall see you next week, and please be safe.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jack.
Hang on, Phil. We're going to talk in a minute.